Hello. Welcome on back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. In honor of the Sephora Holiday Savings Event, I've partnered up with Sephora for today's tutorial to share with you how I created this look using some of my Sephora must-have products. So without further ado, if you want to learn how I created this look right here, then keep on watching. So to begin, I'm using the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dew Drops to prep our model's skin with. Now I'm going to be straight up with you on this one. When it comes to viral products in the skincare department, I don't usually hop on board because I'm picky when it comes to skincare. Like, I know what I like and I don't try to fix something that's not broken, you know what I mean? But this is one of those products that has gone viral and I think it deserves every single bit of it. I absolutely love the consistency of this, and it's something I always pick up during the Sephora savings events. I use it often on clients because it hydrates the skin well, it doesn't pill up, and makeup kind of just, it grips onto it, which is important for me because, as you know, I don't use primers really, so this definitely is a must-have for me. Now following this, I'm using the Lawless Forget the Filler Overnight Lip Plumping Mask to hydrate and prep the lips with. This is something I've recently grown to love, and if it's not this one, I also highly recommend checking out the lip mask Tatcha has. That one is really, really good as well, but you can't go wrong with either. They're both good. Okay, next I'm using the HAUS Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation in the shade 230 Light Medium Cool, and I'm applying this on with a makeup sponge. This is the perfect shade to use on our model Aubrey today because it matches her face to the rest of her body perfectly, if I do say so myself, which honestly, it usually takes me a couple tries to get it just right, but I got lucky today on the first try. They have a great shade matching system though, you can see online, but if you have a chance to swatch these in store, I highly recommend it because hopefully you'll be able to see what I've been seeing and why I've been loving this foundation lately so much. In fact, I even went as far as to say that when it first released and launched, that this would be the best foundation launch of the year, and I meant every word of that. So there's that. Now reaching for this Patrick Ta Major Sculpt Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo, I'm using the cream side to lightly contour around the perimeter of her face with, including the forehead, cheekbones, and jawline, and the nose a little bit. Aubrey says she likes a nose contour, so we're going for it today. And of course, I'll follow up with using the sponge to further press and blend this in. And then later on in the tutorial, I'll use the powder side of this to bronze with. And I think that's why I've been enjoying this product so much here. The cream contour is a proper contour. Like, it has more neutral to cool undertones, while the powder bronzer has more warmth to it. So you get the best of both worlds with this. Once I have this contour blended, I'm using the Jouer Essentials High Coverage Concealer in the shade Toast to conceal and brighten her under eyes. You could also take this time to highlight the rest of the face if you want, like down the center of the nose, center of the forehead and chin and all that, but I'm really wanting to keep this look more on the wearable side of Glam today. She has such a beautiful face structure that I don't want to take away from it, but rather complement it. So in saying that, after I've blended this concealer out, I'm then taking this Huda Beauty Easy Bake powder in the shade Pound Cake and using this to lightly set the under eye concealer into place. And then I'll step and repeat those same steps for the other under eye. If you've been with me for a little while now, you know how much I love the Jouer concealer and the Huda Beauty powder. It's such a classic go-to product, and I always find myself picking up a few shades during the savings events. I think that, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to finish that thought in just a second because I want to take this chance now while I'm doing this to break down the details of this Sephora holiday savings event. That's what this whole tutorial is really kind of focused around. So for those of you who don't know about it yet, here are the tiers and all the details. So the event is currently happening. ROUGE members have access right now with 20% off. VIB members have access right now with 15% off, and insiders will have access beginning tomorrow, November 3rd, with 10% off. And the last day to shop the event for all tiers is November 7th. You can shop as many times as you'd like within those dates. You can shop online with their multi-use code savings. And I do want to say, the Sephora collection is 30% off, which is pretty major. So if you aren't already, I highly recommend you sign up to become a Sephora Beauty Insider. I'll put the link down below if you need it. And of course, as always, I'll put the links down below for the products I used today, since everything I'm using to create this look can be found in Sephora or on Sephora.com. So yeah. Okay, there's that. I'll put all the details that I just went over down below just in case I forgot anything. But as for the makeup, now that we're finishing up with the under eyes, I'm going to use this Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Finish Setting Powder to lightly set the rest of the makeup around the face. The shade I'm using here is the shade 3 Medium, which I think works quite nicely with her skin tone. I really enjoy using these powders because they're lightweight and they kind of just melt into the skin without leaving a cakey residue, which can sometimes happen with other setting powders. And although I'm first applying this on with a fluffy powder brush, I like to finish off with a powder puff to further press that powder into the skin. I'm not adding more with the puff. I'm just taking what we have and pressing, what we've already applied on with the brush. And then also I'm just setting the eyelids a bit with some powder real quick before heading back to the Patrick Ta product to bronze around the perimeter of the face. This is from the Duo Contour Bronzer product we just used to cream contour a minute ago. As I was saying earlier, the powder bronzer just adds a nice sun-kissed warmth to the skin tone. Nothing too crazy here, just a little here and there to add back in some dimension. Okay, here as you can see, I've head back to our Huda Beauty baking powder to bake along the under eyes and along the jawline. I know I said that I want this look to be wearable, and then you see me do dramatic things like this, but I do love the baking technique. I find it does look just as great in person as it does on camera. I understand it's not gonna work for everybody, but if you're gonna try it, the Huda Beauty baking powder is a really great place to start because even in small doses, it does the job of adding in that brightening effect, and it extends the longevity of the makeup, which is why you see me use this technique so often. So anyway, now I'm using the Patrick Ta Major Brow Defining Pencil in the shade Dark Brown to slowly start building up the shape of Aubrey's brows. This has become, over the last few months, one of my favorite brow products to use. And I know I've said in the past that I don't like to spend a lot of money on brow pencils because I think they're all kind of the same, but I do miss the mark on some things, and I'm wrong sometimes. And I admit it. I think these pencils are worth it, guys. I think they're worth every penny. They're super thin. They're not too pigmented, so you have time to build up the color density, which is important to me. And more than anything, I love the shape of the pencil. It's like a thin rectangle, so it mimics the look of the brow hairs and makes the process so easy on me. Once I complete the other brow off camera, I'm going to begin on the eyes using this shade from the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. And look at what I do here with this. I'm taking the flat edge of a piece of paper, laying it right down at the corner of the eye and buffing this shadow all across the lid. I'm not cutting this footage or anything. What you see is what you get here, because I want you to see this in real time so you can see what this little trick does. It acts like I can't think of the word. It's like a guide. That's the word. It acts like a guide to get that perfect clean line extending from the corner of the eye up towards the temple. It gives the same result you'd get from using a piece of tape, but without messing up the complexion. Look at that. Look at that. It's just super easy, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into this shade here called Instinct and softly blend that in using the same technique. What I was saying about the tape a second ago is that sometimes, not all the time, but many of you will know what I'm talking about. When you put the tape underneath your eyes, it picks up the concealer and powder underneath it. And more than that, personally, I just don't like using tape on my clients. The skin underneath the eyes is so delicate and fragile. I don't like tugging and pulling on those areas with a sticky piece of tape, but that's just personal preference. And as you can see here, this is the result we're getting so far. So now I'm going to use this shimmer shade I think it's called Invention. And I'm dusting this onto the center of the lid with my ring finger and also applying a little to the inner corner of the eye just to give the look a little glitz and glam. And then you'll see me here in a second use the tiniest amount of the black eyeshadow from that same palette we've been using to give the outer corner a hint of dimension, but still while keeping it soft. We don't want anything too crazy happening here. The shadows in this palette are pigmented, which is fantastic, but I think there's something to be said for a soft wash of color on the lid. And if you're someone like me who likes to play it safe with a good old brown smoky eye, but you want to experiment with adding different colors into the mix, this is the way to do it, because we're taking cranberry, burgundy shades and using them as a wash of color rather than a heavy, opaque, intense punch of color. You know what I mean? It kind of just goes back to what I was saying about keeping the look soft and wearable. For mascara, I'm using the Legit Lashes Mascara by Huda Beauty and using this on both the top and bottom lashes. But get this, there's two different formulas in this one product. On one end, you have the curl and lengthen formula, and then on the other end, you have the volumizing formula. So you get the best of both worlds here, depending on what your goals are and what you're looking to achieve with your makeup look. All right, so heading back to the complexion to finish things up here, I'm wiping away that baking powder, and as you can see, it leaves behind a beautiful hint of brightness to the areas we had applied it, and it doesn't look cakey either. Like, what you're seeing here, guys, is more detail than even the human eye can pick up in person. This is 4K footage. Like, we're not playing around here anymore. Maybe you've noticed lately, but I've switched around some of the filming equipment so you can really see the skin. You can see how the products are performing. You know what I mean? So there's no funny business happening here. We see exactly, for what it is. And here, real quick, I want to say I'm adding some blush to the highest points of her cheeks. I'm using the Makeup by Mario blush in the shade Poppy Pink, which is such a pretty flush of color. I mean, really though, you can't go wrong with any of his blushes. They're all so pretty, and they did an incredible job on them all. And then for the highlight, I'm using the Pat McGrath Lab Skin Fetish Divine Glow Highlighter. And I'm dusting this onto the high points of her face, such as the cheekbones, Cupid's bow, and down the center of her nose. This is such a pretty highlight. You all, they did a phenomenal job on the formula. It's not too glittery, it's not too powdery, it's the perfect mix of everything I look for. And a highlighter to give the skin that soft luminosity that radiates that, that glow from within look that looks good on everybody, and it never goes out of style. To begin on the lips, I'm using the Makeup Forever Color Artist Pencil in the shade Anywhere Caffeine to trace the borders of her lips with. It's been a little while that you've been seeing me use this pencil for. The shade is really, really beautiful on several different skin tones, and in this case, it's adding the perfect amount of dimension to the lip, but without overdoing it. Next up, for gloss, I'm using this Lawless Forget the Filler Lip Plumping Gloss in the shade Daisy Pink and applying this right on top. I love how this gloss has enough pigment in it where you can see that it's a baby pink shade, but as it wears, it kind of just melts in and adds a sheer hint of color to the lips while keeping that high shine finish. It looks fresh and flirty and feminine and ties in perfectly with the pink undertones we have in the blush and eyeshadow, bringing us to the last product in today's look, the One Size Until Dawn Setting Spray, which will set and lock this makeup into place all day and makes this the final step in how we created a soft glam look on our naturally beautiful model. There we have it, kids. I hope y'all enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, be sure to give this video a big ol' thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also check out more of my work on my Instagram at Painted by Spencer. Until next time, I'll see you soon.